What's up, scholars? Welcome back to another video. Today I am doing Return to Sabaody. Since I had asked y'all if y'all wanted to return to Sabaody as its own little arc mixed in with like something extra to make up for it, because it felt a little different than just going straight into Fishman Island. So I asked y'all what y'all wanted me to do, and the majority of the comments I saw was to do Return to Sabaody as its own little section and maybe add in something with it. So I took y'all's advice. A lot of y'all said to either rank the character designs or rank some of like the arcs or something. So that's what we're doing today. So I have my laptop set aside so we can do the ranking of the arcs, and I have my review ready for Return to Sabaody. So that's what we're here to do. It's gonna be nice and fun, a good happy chipper video to come back to One Piece from, because I had a hard time after post-war, and I actually took a break from One Piece. It was about, by the time like I had recorded everything and then took a break, it's been about 2 weeks since I consumed anything from One Piece, whether manga, anime, anything. It's been like 2 weeks since I did anything One Piece related, because I needed a break after post-war and all of the emotions it put me through, and I figured that was a perfect place to take a break, and it was great. But now I'm back. We're back into it. I have finished Return to Sabaody, obviously, because I'm making this review, and I'm already getting into Fishman Island, just like the beginning of it. But that's where we're at. I'm excited to be back into One Piece, and I'm hoping it's a false hope, I know, because I've figured out how Oda works by now. But it's like, I'm hoping that I don't get my heart broken, but at the same time I know it's gonna happen again. I'm just hoping it's not on the scale of post-war. If it's not to that scale, I think I'll be okay. Besides that, let's go ahead and get right into Return to Sabaody. Return to Sabaody was a very short arc, but it was a very welcome arc after the time skip and coming back into the story. It was like a reintroduction to our characters. They're gonna be meeting up again for the first time in 2 years, and there was just something very special about this upcoming reunion and having all of them come back in different ways and seeing how they've changed in the past 2 years and how much they've grown in the past 2 years was just such a delight to see, and it made my heart very happy. So when the arc starts, you get this shot of Luffy. He's still on that island where him and Rayleigh had been training, but Rayleigh left 6 months earlier because Luffy had already completed all of his basic training, and Rayleigh was basically like, "You've got this, I'll see you in 6 months," and dipped. And that's so cool to see how much, first of all, how much Luffy can learn in such a short amount of time, how strong he is, and just a testament to his own ability and his, what's it called? Potential. Oh my gosh, I don't know why it took me so long to think of that. It shows his potential of how much he can learn, how much he can grow just with a little bit of developed and personalized training. It was so cool to see. And of course we get some sweet moments with him and Boa. I love the dynamic between them still, how he's like, "I'm not gonna marry you, but thanks for the food," and she's oblivious as always, and she's like, "Oh, how sweet." It was nice and lighthearted, a very lighthearted entrance back into the series, which I personally appreciated. But with Luffy making his way back to Sabaody now that the 2 years are over, we also get the rise of the fake Straw Hats, who have taken the place of the real Straw Hats in their absence and are trying to hire recruits to go into the New World because they're using Luffy's heritage as a way to say, "Hey, you should work for me because I'm a big shot." And it's really funny because the fake Straw Hats look absolutely nothing like the real ones. And it's so funny, I watched it in the anime, and the fact that they had the voices of the real Straw Hats but just in like swapped in different characters was so funny. I thought that was very clever. It amazed me how many people fell for it because it was so absurd, but then you get members of the real Straw Hat crew like Chopper and Luffy falling for it as well. So it's like, it's a bit and it's funny, so I'm just gonna roll with it. But then we get reintroduced to Brook, Soul King Brook, who is now this top shot performer and singer. He is holding a whole concert on Sabaody, and it's like packed full. And he is dripped out and enjoying life, but he knows it's his final performance and tells the people who had originally kidnapped him, who turned him into a performer, tells them like, hey, this is gonna be my last performance. He was dripped out. I was so happy to see Brook. And he has, honestly, he has my favorite moment in this arc. Then once we see Brook, we see Sanji again. He had a nice little glow up as well. He's got the little mustache, little mustache down here. And the poor boy finally sees a real woman again and just doesn't even know how to react anymore. And he's just losing his mind because there are real women on Sabaody, and he's like, Viva Sabaody! The manga does it well. The anime is very overboard with it, the way they handle it, so manga definitely did better with it. But yeah, Sanji has no idea how to act around women anymore because he's been isolated from them for 2 years, so the poor guy's got his work cut out for him. And then we get Nami chilling in a bar. And she has this funny confrontation with the fake Straw Hat Luffy, and she obviously plays into it and starts kind of like making digs at him, saying like, you're not good enough for me, which as she should. And then she's like, who are you again, Straw Hat? Who? I love how she plays into it. It's so good. And then, you know, as they're trying to threaten her, which she can definitely hold her own right now, somebody comes in and causes more chaos, and it's Usopp, and he got, first of all, he got the drip, and he got some, he got real smooth over the 2 years he was been gone. But the way he just like casually strolls up to the bar, sit next to Nami, and then he's like, hey there, little lady, wanna have a drink? And Nami finally realizes who it is when he tips his hat up. And second of all, oh my gosh, Usopp got a glow up. Like, I loved him before. He was precious before. I thought he was a little cutie patootie. But my goodness, Usopp by far has the best glow up, in my opinion. He looks fantastic. They have a wonderful little reunion, and they have a little scuffle with the fakes, and they end up blowing up the bar, and I love it because they blow up that bar and they're just casually walking away, having a conversation, not even bothered by the people who were threatening them. It's so good. It's just to show like the difference in power from how they were 2 years ago to how they are now. I loved it. We get a reunion between Sanji and Duval when Sanji goes to Rayleigh's bar, which was really funny how Duval has been in recovery for a year because he's been protecting the Sunny. They have their little reunion, and Sanji's talking to Rayleigh and Shaki about who all is there. They're just waiting on Robin and Luffy. And speak of her and she shall come, Robin shows up in the scenes shortly after she's escaped from some of the world government goons or whatever, and she's trying to make her way up to where everybody else is. And then we get Chopper. Sweet, sweet little Chopper, completely deceived by the fake Zoro and Sanji, which you would think it'd be obvious because Zoro and Sanji are getting along, and Chopper's like, oh, I didn't know y'all got close in the last 2 years. Honey, no. Chopper looks just as adorable as he always did, so he looks just as sweet. I haven't really seen a lot of his glow-ups power-wise or anything, but I know they're there. So Chopper is following along these fakes, and then we get Luffy, who crashes into fake Luffy after fake Luffy is making this huge scene in the middle of the street by shooting 2 random people because they reminded him of Usopp and Nami, which is rude. It's horrible to think that people actually believe Luffy is like that. But he runs into the real Luffy. I love that confrontation. Luffy thinks back to a conversation him and Boa have again when Boa's like fixing his coat and everything, pulling the hood up. I thought that was so sweet. She gives him the little disguise saying like, you'll need it. People think you're dead. You don't want to draw attention to yourself right now. Luffy's like, nah, I'll be fine without it, but he takes it anyway just in case. Their moments are always really cute but really funny at the same time. And then we get back to this confrontation and Luffy uses his haki. We get to see him use his haki in a controlled way against like an opponent, because we saw him use it on the animals back when he was on the island, but we actually get to see him use it against an opponent for the first time, and it was so cool. The way he just uses his haki in order to dodge the bullet and then drops them all to the ground. It was so good. He was so saucy with it. I love that moment. But then we get a reunion between Robin and Frankie. They're adorable. I love how Frankie is up to his shenanigans as normal and Robin just kind of goes with it. Frankie has the weirdest update to his character design. I'm not sure how I feel about his. I liked his old design. This new one's kind of very flamboyant and it's very out there. It's very big. It'll take me a while to get used to that, so I'm not sure how I feel about Frankie's changes in the past 2 years. And he made himself have no hair for the most part, so I'm just so used to seeing him with hair. It's like the reverse situation of Avatar: The Last Airbender in season 3 when Aang got hair. It was so weird for a while, but then by the time you were finally used to it, he shaved off his head. I don't know if that thing's gonna happen again, but it kind of gave me those similar vibes with Frankie, so that's kind of where I'm at with him. But with Chopper being deceived, the fake Robin actually gets captured and Chopper tries to make this big scene out of it, is so upset that, you know, the Straw Hats don't care that Robin has been taken. He just can't understand it, so he's gonna save Robin by himself, and he runs away. Because of all the commotion, the Marines overhear this. They see Chopper. They're like, that's the real one, so these must be the Straw Hats. So they call in the Marines, and we get to see Sentomaru again, which makes this come full circle since Sentomaru is the one who came to Sabaody 2 years ago. So it was a nice little like full circle moment. And Chopper ends up running into Nami and Usopp, who basically fill him in on the whole situation, like, look, they're fakes, they're pretending to be us, we just have to get back to our crew and it'll be fine. So they're all three together, and then we get a Zoro and Sanji reunion, where Sanji's out shopping for food, and he comes across this fisherman who is so distraught because a man with 3 swords wanted to go fishing, and he told him to get on the fishing boat, and somehow ended up on this giant ship that's submerged underwater to go to Fishman Island. That's Zoro. It was funny because Zoro, upset that he got on the wrong ship, and was like, well, it's y'all's fault for that I got on the wrong ship, so I'm gonna punish y'all. And he just destroys this pirate ship, makes it come back up to the surface, and Sanji's like, yep, that's him. Their reunion is so funny because it's just instant bickering like it used to be. It's like no time has passed at all. And it's a very noticeable trend within all of the reunions that we get when these characters are coming back together. It's like no time has passed at all. It's a weird feeling because on one side it's like all the time in the world has passed and they feel like they've been separated for ages, which makes that excitement and joy of them coming back together so palpable. But on the other side, the way they interact with each other makes it seem like they haven't even spent a day away from each other. It's such a nice dynamic. I love this found family, and it's just, it is beautiful. But then we get the next deception by Luffy, who sees the fake Zoro and Sanji and thinks they're the real ones and ends up going along with them to this whole meeting, which is where we get the caribou scene with the Marine, where the Marine's trying to report what's happening. Caribou overhears it and brutally just stabs the Marine as the Marine's trying to defend himself, fight back. Caribou was shown to be a very vicious pirate when we were first introduced to him. But he doesn't, like, while he's very vicious, he doesn't seem threatening. But that might be because me as a reader, as a watcher, am so used to the real threats of the world right now. So seeing someone like Caribou, it's like, that's not much. But that's where we get the whole gathering of the Straw Hats, all these pirates that Luffy has recruited to come with him to the New World to be king of the pirates. And I love during the entire thing, Luffy's just sitting there like, what's going on? He's so confused, but still so convinced that he's with Zoro and Sanji that he's just chilling the entire time. But then we get to what I think is the highlight of this arc, and that is Brook's concert. They did it so well in the manga, and they did it so well in the anime. I loved it. Brook's concert, where he makes this proclamation. The Marines are there to stop him. He's so unbothered by him. He asked the band to back him up one last time, talking, making this declaration because they're like, oh, well, you used to be Captain Brook, the humming pirate, Brook, and now you're one of Straw Hat's crews, but he's dead now. And I love this proclamation that Brook makes. It's my favorite part of this arc. When he starts his speech, he says, "This island holds the memory of our defeat. It's an island of regret, but it's also an island of new beginnings. It's my job to bring greater excitement to our adventures." And then he announces to this entire crowd of people, he says, "Straw Hat Luffy dead? That's ridiculous. I'm going to tell the whole world. Straw Hat Luffy the pirate is alive." And then he doesn't just stop at King of the Pirates. No. Brook says he'll be the king of all oceans. A calm, quiet departure doesn't fit him at all. And then he's like, "To my beloved friend, let's go to the new world, Luffy." That moment, it's so fantastic. Brook's delivery, his devotion to Luffy, I just loved it. And him declaring that to this entire crowd in front of the Marines right before he leaves to go back to his crew is such a power move, and it shows Brook's heart, though he doesn't have a heart. It shows Brook's heart and how strongly he believes in Luffy, the devotion to Luffy and to his crew that did not waver even an ounce over the break. There's so many implications to his declaration, especially saying king of all oceans. That's what got me. I was like, "Ooh, that is powerful." I love that speech from Brook. It was great. But all of the gang is now back on the Sunny. The Sunny has been unharmed. They are now back on the Sunny, except for the monster trio, of course, because of course they're the ones that are going to be causing problems. Rayleigh shows up to warn them about the situation because the Marines are involved now. They're like, he has to go to Grove 42, I think, was the exact number. It was a different grove that they had to go to so that they could all escape safely. Sanji and Zoro are fighting in the street because, of course, they are. But their conversation after Sanji gets the message from the transponder that they need to go to this certain location, and the way he explains it to Zoro as if Zoro's really stupid is so funny because of the banter the two start having after that. That was just a moment that really made me laugh. And then the Marines show up to capture Straw Hat Luffy, and the fakes are obviously really scared, and Luffy's in the background going, "Oh, the Navy's on to me. How did I alert them?" And I love the fake. I think it's the fake Sanji. He keeps turning around to Luffy being like, "What are you talking about?" It's so funny. But then Sentomaru comes as the fake Luffy is trying to escape. And I love Sentomaru for this. He takes one look at him and destroys this fake Luffy, being like, "You are not Straw Hat Luffy." It's so cool because Sentomaru has like this weird level of respect for Luffy. even though they're enemies. But he's like, no, don't you pretend to be Straw Hat. You are not him. Beats the fake Luffy, and then while everybody's freaking out because, oh, they've been deceived, then Sentomaru's like, no, the real Straw Hat is alive. He is here. The pacifistas detected him. And then the pacifista tries to attack Luffy. He dodges, and Luffy's revealed to everyone, and everybody's gaping at the real Straw Hat, who looks exactly like his photo. It's so great. It's so funny. And I love the show of power we get from first Luffy and then Zoro and Sanji. Luffy single-handedly, with one hit, takes out a pacifista who they could not beat. They could not even touch 2 years ago. Zoro and Sanji, as Luffy is running away, Zoro and Sanji face another pacifista. They one hit combo this pacifista and take him out. Such a show of strength. It's a simple way to show how strong they've gotten, how mature and developed they've become over the past 2 years. It is beautiful and I love it. So now they're running to the ship and Rayleigh shows up, and Luffy sensed him before anything, and I love that. Rayleigh shows up to say a little bit of a farewell to Luffy, and I love Luffy's declaration to Rayleigh when he says, I'm gonna be king of the pirates, and Rayleigh starts tearing up. That one kind of stung. That one kind of stung a little bit, especially coming from post-war and Luffy like despairing over the loss of Ace and everything, his weakness, and saying like, king of the pirates, yeah right, I'm so weak. And we see him after this 2-year time jump looking to his mentor who has trained him and declaring that yet again with a smile on his face. Just means everything to me. It is so great. It is wonderful. I love that moment. And then Rayleigh, as they're running away, as they're leaving, and he says, go all the way to the top. I love it. I love it. But then we get Perona, who, of course, is the reason why Zoro made it to the island in the first place, which, of course, because there's no way Zoro would have made it there otherwise. And Perona looks adorable. I love her new outfit. She looks amazing, like always. I love the end of this because we get everybody who trained them, in a sense, all of their mentors, torturers for other in Sanji's case. We get all the people that they were with in the past 2 years helping them escape. We have the birds that Chopper was with on his island, carrying Luffy, Zoro, and Sanji back to the ship so that everybody can reunite, and their reunion is so sweet but chaotic at the same time. I wouldn't have imagined it any other way. We have Perona dealing with the Marines, making them all negative. We have Rayleigh putting a line through the ground and saying, this is my pupil's send-off, it needs to be great. I don't advise you cross this line, which is such a power move. I love Rayleigh. We get the Okama people harassing the Marines on one side. We get Hercules releasing all these giant bugs and beetles and stuff. And we get the people from Weatheria, the old men from Weatheria, making it rain and stuff on the island randomly. Am I missing anybody? I think. Yeah, no, I think I got it. I think I got it all. We have all these people helping them. And it's so great because all these people who have seen them struggle, they've seen them work for so hard for the last 2 years, and now are helping them reunite to come together. And Boa, yes, Boa, how could I forget? The queen herself. She stops the Marines from firing at the ship, which I do think was really funny because as soon as they all found out that Luffy was friends with the pirate empress, Sanji was furious. Which I knew he would be. He was so angry with Luffy for being on the island of women because of what he went through. I think it's so funny. But despite all the chaos, they get on the ship, the little bubble and floats over the Sunny, and they are off to Fishman Island. It was such a nice little arc. It had some really good moments. It was just a really good like breather, reintroduction to everything, kind of getting the crew back together with little glimpses of their new power, their new character designs before sending them off to Fishman Island. I really liked it. It was good. It was a perfect little breather, which I was really in favor for. But I liked it. I enjoyed this little arc. It's a good precursor to Fishman Island. With that being said, now it is time to do the rankings of the arcs. So I am ranking every arc pre-time skip, which I know it might be a lot, but honestly, I think it's doable. It's very doable to do in a video like this. So I have my rankings for this, and they're very lovely ranking tier lists. So at the very top you get legendary. These are like the best of the best arcs that we got in pre-time skip, in my opinion. And then right below it you have brilliant, like the brilliant arcs. They were so close to legendary, but there was like maybe one or two things that kept them from it. Then you get beautiful. They are beautiful arcs, great storytelling, great character work, but they're just not up to those top two tier lists. And then you get the lovely arcs. They are lovely, they are wonderful, they were great arcs, but they just weren't my favorite, but they were still great for the story. And then you get the last one, which is Sweetie, which the only way that makes sense is because in my mind I was like, you're doing your best, Sweetie. Like, you've tried your best, Sweetie. You're doing great. That's how I see the Sweetie. That's how I see the Sweetie tier. It's still good. They were doing their best. It's still good. It's just not my favorite, but I still love and appreciate it, just like the other arcs. So with that being said, here's my rankings. We're gonna start at the very beginning with Romance Dawn. So Romance Dawn, it's a great arc. It's very pivotal because it is the very beginning of One Piece. But it's not like the most compelling to me as of right now. So it's going in beautiful. It is a beautiful arc. It is a great introduction to our characters with some good backstory. So it's gonna go right there. I'm gonna have a hard time with this. So Orange Town automatically has to go into beautiful because that is where we are introduced to Buggy, and it can be nothing other than beautiful getting to know Buggy. That's all I really have to say about that. Orange Town had some good moments, like the story with Choo Choo, the little doggy, and the introduction of Buggy. That's like its two highlights. Syrup Village. I liked Syrup Village. I liked it. It was a really good arc. It introduced us to Usopp. I automatically liked Usopp from the introduction of this arc, but I'm gonna put it at lovely. It was a lovely arc. I enjoyed it immensely, but I think there are better. Now, Baradier, this was really hard because this is where we're introduced to Sanji and we get his backstory with Zeph and the whole starvation thing. I'm gonna put it at the very beginning of beautiful. So it was a beautiful arc and I absolutely loved it. Arlong Park goes in brilliant. It was a brilliant arc. The whole Nami backstory with Belmere and her asking Luffy for help. Oh my goodness. Brilliant. Brilliant. I just realized that the way I'm sitting might be hard for like people to see the tier list, so I'm gonna scooch over to the side. So I'm gonna be over here in the corner so that the tier list could go over here more comfortably. And I'm not like in the way. I didn't realize that, so whoops, oh well. And Loketown was lovely. It set up some lore. It was the introduction of Dragon, and the whole first initial backstory with Roger and his execution, how he smiled and Luffy smiled. But there are so many other arcs that I think go above it, so it is lovely. It is a lovely arc. Reverse Mountain also goes into, yeah, it goes into lovely. Reverse Mountain also goes into lovely. I loved the backstory with Laboon, and after Thriller Bark, I love it even more. But as its own self-contained arc, it was good. It was good. Whiskey Peak. There was a couple good moments. There were some good moments in Whiskey Peak, but it was not my favorite. I'm gonna put it in Sweetie. It was doing great. It was doing great. It's doing its best. There's just so many other arcs that I love more than Whiskey Peak. Little Garden. Beautiful. It is a beautiful arc. It holds so much importance to the rest of Alabasta. I loved the character moments in there, the interactions, the plays that were being played by like Sanji calling Crocodile. I loved it. It was great. Drum Island was brilliant. Chopper's backstory made me sob. I loved Luke and his speeches and the way Luffy fought for Chopper and how he joined the crew, and Luffy's just devotion to Nami, getting her to a doctor. Is brilliant. I loved it. Alabasta. That's an instant legendary spot. This arc was perfect. The fights, the relationships, the plays, the dialogue, the character development, the storytelling, the lore. We got a lot of lore drop in this regarding the poneglyphs and characters, and I loved the fight between Crocodile and Luffy. I just really loved that. Legendary. Love the storytelling, love the send-off to Vivi at the end. Vivi is one of the most lasting side characters in my mind. I've remembered her the most of side character. Her and Buggy, but her female character-wise, Vivi has made the most lasting impression on my mind. She is fantastic. I love her. I love the tidbits we see of her throughout the rest of the pre-time skip canon. This arc is just beautiful. I love it so much. So now we're going on to Jaya. Jaya is beautiful, and it goes above Baratier because of the connections between Luffy and Roger and how they both wanted to go to the sky. The way Luffy fights for, oh, I forgot his name, the descendant of Noland, and how that whole thing happens. The interactions and the first introduction we get with Blackbeard, the whole dreams never die speech, all of it, just yes. Skypia. This might be a little controversial to people, but if y'all know me, y'all know how much I loved Skypia for the lore alone. The fight between Enel and Luffy was great. The fight between Enel and Luffy was great. It was a good fight. But the lore we got in this arc was insane. Regarding the poneglyphs, regarding Roger, regarding just how the world of One Piece works. I might change my mind about this one, but regarding on how I rank the others, but right now, it's legendary. Long rant. You're doing great, sweetie. You're doing great. It was a good arc. It just wasn't my favorite, and the issue I have with it is because I watched the anime first, and the anime just bungled this arc horribly. When I read it, it was so much better, and I enjoyed it so much more in the manga. So it saved it for me. The manga saved it, as it should, because that's the original source. But it still wasn't my favorite arc. It was okay. I enjoyed some of the lore with it, with like the Davy back fights and all of that, and how certain people knew about it, certain people didn't, how all that works. And with the introduction of like Aokiji with Robin, all of that situation. So I had a lot of really good moments, but I liked these arcs a lot more. So you're doing great, sweetie. And maybe it's, that's better. That's better. Okay. Water 7. Move. Okay. Do I have to explain? Do I have to explain? This whole arc began my long-lasting just tears with with this show. Usopp and Luffy's fight, the whole situation with the Mary, Robin's past being dredged up, CP9's reveal, the whole going on the train, and then Frankie with Tom and the blueprints to one of these ancient weapons. Immaculate storytelling. Some of the best storytelling One Piece has done so far. It was amazing. One of my favorite arcs still to this day. Just, I don't have enough to say about it. It's just amazing. Enies Lobby. I mean, is there any question? Is there any question? Robin's past, the lore we get with Robin's past, with the whole situation of the poneglyphs and the ancient history and everything tied to the world government. All of that, plus Robin's backstory in general, is heart-wrenching. And then her declaration to Luffy and the crew saying, I want to live. It's so good. And all the fights in Enies Lobby were great. And the moment when Usopp calls out to Luffy, when Luffy falls down, and then that inspires Luffy to get back up. And then of course the Mary coming to save him, and then them having to say goodbye to the Mary. I've cried so much over a stinking boat. I'm so upset. This arc is fantastic. One of the best arcs. Again, the whole Water 7 saga is just top tier writing. And I love it. I love it. Post Enies Lobby was brilliant. There is a lot of new discoveries. The bounties came out. We got to learn of Luffy's heritage and learn a lot of other things. We got to see Kobe, and we had Usopp's rejoining of the crew. It was brilliant. Thriller Bark. It was brilliant. But nothing happened in that arc, so I can't say anything. Sabaody. Sabaody, it's brilliant. Sabaody is a brilliant arc. It absolutely destroyed me. From the reunion with Hachi to learning about the celestial dragons, getting into the whole slavery and human trafficking, slave trade, all of that, to Luffy punching the celestial dragon, which was awesome, to learning about, you know, Ace gonna be executed and the whole Whitebeard situation with them going to war, all of that, and then the end of Sabaody where they all get... It was brilliant. Heart-wrenchingly brilliant. Amazon Lily was beautiful. I think I'll put it there, yeah. Amazon Lily was beautiful. It was a nice little arc. We got to see just Luffy being Luffy, how he was coping. We got the introduction of Boa, so that's fantastic. But it didn't do the most, but it was a great little arc. I thought it was beautiful. And it showed a lot of Luffy's inner turmoil, in a sense. Impel Down. Brilliant. I mean, Buggy alone pushes it to brilliant without anything. I mean, Buggy was awesome. Then we get Crocodile and Jimbei and Eva and Bon Clay and Mr. 3 and just shenanigans all around, but it was so much fun. I had a lot of fun with this arc. Yeah, it was great. Marineford. Oops. Marineford was brilliant. It was brilliant. Heart-wrenchingly sad, but brilliant. Ace's sacrifice, Luffy trying so hard to get to Ace, Whitebeard's response to Ace's death, Whitebeard's death, his speech at the end, all of the fights and everything was incredible. It was a beautiful, brilliant arc. It was amazing. I loved that arc. It destroyed me, but I loved it. And last but certainly not least, post-war. Post-war, in my mind, is legendary. Legendary because of all of the emotions that gets explored, the backstory and flashback we get with Luffy and Ace and Sabo, how they grew up together, the promises they made to each other, and then Luffy and Jimbei. I'm sorry, that's what makes it legendary. Luffy and Jimbei. Jimbei is best boy. I cannot express that enough. Jimbei is the best. The way he was there for Luffy when nobody else was means so much to me. His speech to Luffy, the way he was able to help Luffy and get Luffy out of the kind of hopeless state he was in. Perfect. Amazing. I love that. But yes, this is my ranking, and I think I'm gonna keep it. This seems fair. Might have been a little generous with some, with some of them. This is my ranking of the One Piece arcs pre-time skip. I think that's pretty fair. There's a lot of them that I really enjoyed. The storytelling has been amazing in One Piece so far. I've liked some of the pacing. Some of the pacing can be a little off, but the pacing in pre-time skip was really well done. The character development, the character moments, the heartbreaking moments, emotional wise, everything. It's been amazing. Heartbreaking and depressing, but amazing. And I'm really looking forward to seeing where it goes from here. So what are y'all's rankings of the pre-time skip arcs? If you want to comment them down below, go ahead. I know some rankings can make people upset, but this is my opinion. This is what I think, so I'm sorry. But yes, let me know what y'all's rankings are down below. I'd love to see where y'all rank different things, see where we're similar, where we're different, because I know I'm definitely going to be different than some people. But let me know down below what you think of my ranking. Just be nice. That is my review over Return to Sabaody. I thought it was a nice little reintroduction to the story, getting us going into the new world, into Fishman Island. I'm very excited to see Jimbei again. I want to see Jimbei so bad. But yes, I'm super excited. The little arc was great. It was nice, easy, fun, getting us back into the story, into the groove of things. The characters look great, and I'm excited to see where we go from here. So thank y'all so much for watching this video. If y'all want to see my other videos, make sure you go check out my channel. I have plenty of other content for y'all to consume if you haven't already. But other than that, thank you so much for watching this video, and I will see you next time, scholars.